Hey friends, happy second week of July. I hope you all had a great 4th of July and a good first summer Sunday practicing generosity towards your neighbors and your neighborhoods. We now turn to the second summer Sunday, and our invitation and theme this time is for us to be united with the church. And by the church in this case, we mean the global historical capital C church that spans time and tradition and unites all followers of Jesus into one body of Christ in the world. And so the invitation is that go to another local church this week. Show up to be a blessing, not just as a spectator on the outer edges, but as one looking for ways to engage, looking for ways to encourage. Maybe find a kids volunteer who looks particularly worn out, or speak words of life over a pastor of that church, or look for someone in the lobby who has no one else to talk to, and engage and encourage in that way. You may wonder, what church should I go to? There's no right or wrong answer in that. We have a handful of other churches in our diocese, or network of churches for the sake of others, that practice Anglicanism in our area. You could try one of those. There's Trinity on the west side, Emmanuel in Decatur, Incarnation in Chambly, or Redeemer down by Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That would give you a chance to connect with some dear friends in those communities. Or perhaps you want to lean into a different tradition. Maybe there's a particular invitation God has for you to worship in another way, maybe something that used to shape your faith that you haven't been a part of in a while, or perhaps something you don't yet understand that you want to lean into. Alternatively, maybe it's just that you pick the closest church to your house and you go there looking for ways to practice unity with whatever group of believers assembles in that area. We do this to remember that we are not alone and we are not the only ones. And in this moment where there is so much division in our world and even within the church, of course it is true that some styles of worship, some theologies are more healthy or constructive than others, and we want to practice discernment with that. But we also get to remember on a week like this that far more unites us than divides us, and we show up in that way. And so this week, as you can hear, I am in Bloomington, Indiana. I'm on the campus of Indiana University right now, and this is where we lived for 10 years before we moved to Georgia to be a part of the parish. And I've had a particular way of experiencing this idea of being united to the larger capital C church this week, as we've stayed with my brother-in-law, whose house is across a yard from another dear friend. And with those two guys and their wives, we planted a church here in Bloomington in 2010 called Red Door Church. And just being around them again this week was the reminder of the many late nights spent in a garage dreaming about how to start a church in this area. And so much of what has informed my approach to the parish finds its roots here. Things like our call to worship, or our closing benediction, or the Cross of Christ liturgy, or even 3 good minutes. All of that stems back to here. And yet the church that we planted here was not an Anglican church. It was a vineyard church that comes out of a different stream of the body of Christ. And so just a reminder of how shaped we are, sometimes in hard ways, but in many other times in beautiful ways, by the churches that have marked our lives, and how many gifts we receive from being a part of community with fellow believers. And so that's the invitation this week. Go practice being a uniting presence in another local church as you look for ways to see God amongst those who show up to this walk of faith perhaps differently than you do. Have a great week. Bye.